Welcome to day 47 of this online Sahaja Yoga course that we're calling Deepening the Silence. It's day 47 of our third session. My name is Mark and I live in New Jersey, USA, and I'm delighted to be part of this European Nordic online program. So before we go any further, we do a foot soak in every program. So if you have a basin and all the other ingredients ready, here's your chance to get ready if you haven't quite got it all together. If you're brand new and you don't have any of this stuff yet, don't worry about it. You can join us anytime in future classes. If you're new or you're continuing, and you need some extra explanation, some extra support, it's getting a bit confusing, then you can request help anytime during the program. In the Zoom chat, we have someone called Breakout Room Help, and that's an opportunity to meet one-on-one in a Zoom breakout room with a Sahaja Yoga teacher. So then you can say, well, can you please give me a basic introduction? What is this? If you're just following along and enjoying, of course, that's great too. At the beginning of the class, when we go into these other breakout rooms for additional support, it'll be in English, and towards the end of the program, we'll offer in all kinds of other languages. If you need additional support, we also have a course website. And on that website, you'll find the recordings of all previous classes, as well as any materials that we've presented that you can download. The other way to get additional support, of course, is to attend a Sahaja Yoga meeting in person. So if you find one locally, that's a great way to meet with us one-on-one and say, I'm feeling this, what does it mean? The other way you can get support in this Sahaja Yoga course is to work with a Sahaja Yoga teacher, someone with experience who can help answer your questions, and that's a mentor. So in the Zoom chat, there'll be a form, and you can fill it out and say, I'd like a mentor. If you've already requested and you still haven't heard back from us, that's because we try to match as, fruitfully as possible. So someone who is maybe in your area, who looks like they'll be a good match for you. So you will get a match, even if it hasn't happened quite yet. On the Monday program, we talked about the first of our 7 major chakras, or energy centers, that are inside every human being. And that was the chakra of that childlike quality within us, the Muladhara chakra. Today we're going to move up the diagram of the subtle system and look at chakra number 2. That is the chakra where we'll focus today on the topic of pure knowledge. And the name of that chakra is Swadhisthana chakra. So what is pure knowledge? In the Sahaja Yoga way of looking at things, pure knowledge is what we feel, what we see, what we experience directly with our senses. It's not necessarily what is in our head, what we have read, what we understand intellectually. So by focusing on the experience, then we can really assess, is this working? Is Sahaja Yoga having an effect on me? And so as we go through this course, you'll understand the chakras, these energy centers, deeper and deeper by what you feel about them. And you'll see the changes that take place in yourself and in your life. So in today's program, we're going to have a short talk about today's topic, pure knowledge. There'll be a guided meditation, and that's where we'll also include the foot soak. We'll have a video of Shri Mataji, the founder of Sahaja Yoga. That'll be followed by some music from people who practice Sahaja Yoga, and in this case it'll be a band of a tenor sax, guitar, piano, bass guitar, and drums. And the music is all composed and performed by people who practice Sahaja Yoga. After that musical presentation, we'll have a second guided meditation. And at the end, the people that you've seen on the screen, the presenters, are going to get together and we'll share our experiences, what we've learned in our own trying out Sahaja Yoga. And if you have any questions for us, it's a chance to pose them directly to us, and we'll do our best. So now I'd like to introduce our two presenters for this evening. So welcome, Hans.
Yep. Hi, Mark. Good to see you.
And where are you located, and what do you do when you are not enlightening us with your deep meditation?
Yeah, I'm quite far away from New Jersey, so I'm sitting in Vienna, which is the capital of Austria. And apart from meditation, I am a project manager in a steel company.
All right, looking forward to meditating with you a bit later. And our other person who will be joining us at the end to answer questions is Roxana. Where are you located, and what do you do when you are not joining us in a 21 days program?
Hi everyone. I'm located in France, in the north of France, so not the sunny, beautiful south of France, but still it's good. I'm happy about it. I work in international customer relations when I'm not meditating, as you say, and I'm very happy to be here tonight to be meditating together, all of us.
All right. So we'll see you a bit later in the program. Looking
Yes.
forward to it.
See you then.
See you soon.
Okay, so now let's have a look at this second energy center, or Svadhisthana chakra. It's located in this diagram below the third center and above the first center. And it actually rotates around the third center. So the qualities of this Svadhisthana chakra, which you can feel on your thumbs, the left aspect is on your left thumb, and the right aspect is on your right thumb, and the center aspect is usually when we feel both thumbs equally. So as we're going to talk about tonight, the pure knowledge, that's the essential quality of this chakra. And how do you get to pure knowledge is by what you feel. And then, well, how do you know you're feeling things as they are? That requires clean and pure attention. So undistracted attention will help us to feel what's happening. And then when the center is clear, what can come into us then is absolute inspiration, solutions to things, new ideas, new creative things can come into our attention when we emptied out. And then the other quality of this chakra, it's kind of like the energy supply for our whole system. So when it's balanced out, we notice that we have a lot of energy, a lot of power, we get things done. So, as I said just now, our pure knowledge in Sahaja Yoga is understood by what you feel, and most of us will focus on what am I feeling in my hands, which finger, those kind of things. So, yes, we learn things from books, lectures, discussions, arguments, analyzing things, trying to puzzle things out. Where's that pencil and paper? But what we've discovered is that that's just the beginning of what our true understanding is. It's what is our body telling us? What is our awareness telling us? Our central nervous system, our conscious awareness. So if we feel cool in the palms of our hands, it's an indication that it's going to be good for our own spiritual growth, our own evolution. If we feel heat, or sometimes very heavy pressure, sometimes very hot in the palms of the hands, then maybe that's a choice best avoided. And we can actually use then that awareness to help guide us in our meditation and in living a more balanced life. So we can begin our meditation together by just putting our attention on our breathing. And especially if we're very, very intellectual, like I am, it's good to just put attention on what are we feeling. Just feel the diaphragm moving as we breathe. Then we can put attention on the Kundalini, an energy that we've mentioned before. This is the energy that enlightens all the chakras. It's like a mothering force of purifying all the chakras. So we put attention on our Kundalini, which is a little bit below the navel. It's above the first center and a little bit below the second center. And so I'll do the motion of raising the Kundalini and giving a protection. If you're not sure what exactly I'm doing, you can always ask in the Zoom chat, please explain this. So attention on our Kundalini. We're going to raise our left hand up like this. Take the attention up here. This represents our desire. But at the same time, our right hand is going to go around the left hand, which represents that we like to do something about manifesting that desire. So left hand is in front of the Kundalini at the sacrum bone level. Right hand starts going around it from the top down the outside and from the bottom up the inside. And when we get to the top of our head, we will spin our wrists and pull them apart and tie a knot. Do that a second time. Attention again at the sacrum bone level. And you do this at your own speed, so you may like to do it a bit faster, a bit slower. And now this time, we can tie 2 knots. We raise it a third time. And we'll tie 3 knots. Now we do the protection of our auras, the protection of all our chakras, and we do this motion of the right hand stretching over to the left hip. Left hand is just resting with the palm up. Then we bring the left hand up past the left shoulder, over the top of the head, down past the right shoulder, down to the right hip, and back, like a big arch. So that's 1. We'll do it 7 times in total. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we can put our feet in our foot-soaking bowl, if you have one. Because part of the meditation is also clearing out things. We do carry around sometimes stuff from the past, stuff that's kind of got under our skin, things that are interfering with our enjoyment of the meditation. So since the pure knowledge is what we feel, we just check our hands. Does one hand feel warmer than the other? Does one hand feel heavier than the other? Are there lots of fingers kind of talking to us on one hand and it's pretty quiet on the other hand? So we just see, what are we feeling? It's our own subjective experience. So because we're a group meditating together, we might be clearing out more than just what we're feeling about ourselves. We might actually feel the chakras of other people. So some of us might be a little bit too much into the emotional side, a little bit too kind of thinking about the past, making ourselves feel a little bit unhappy because of things that we've done, mistakes we've made. So we can clear out some of that weight of the past by clearing what we call the left channel. So the simple technique is just rest your left hand, palm up, on your lap, and put the right hand towards the floor. So the fingertips of the right hand are pointed towards the floor, and basically our attention is on this planet Earth. And then just see, am I quiet? Am I thinking? If there are thoughts, we just watch them. And say we were one of the people in the meeting today who was feeling heavier in the right hand. Now let's just rest both hands, palms up on the lap, and see whether it still feels the same or did a little bit of a balance take place. We just check. And then for the people like me that like to read a lot, think a lot, analyze a lot, and make a lot of judgments about things, we call those the right channel people or right-sided people. Let's balance out the right channel. All that intellectual, all that planning, all that what's going to happen tomorrow. So then the right hand is going to balance, is just going to rest on the lap with the palm up. And let's let go of all that tension and stress and heat by bending the left elbow, and let all that stuff from our right side go out into the air. And again, we just check, is my attention completely in the present? Is it settled and relaxed? Am I thinking or am I quiet? So we can rest our hands on our lap. And sometimes it really helps me to take my right hand and rest it on top of my head. A reminder that I'm seeking a state of silence above all this stuff in my brain, all that thoughts. So just have the attention here. And now keep the attention in the right hand, but now raise it up. Now lower the right hand, but see if the attention stays there. Not straining the attention, just seeing if it's resting there. And then you kind of follow your intuition, like, I think it's time to rinse my feet. So that might be sooner or later. We're all a little bit different. So right now, I'm going to rinse my feet and just put my foot soak bowl to one side. And you can empty it later. So we'll have a period of just sitting quietly and settling into the meditation before we watch the video. But before we settle into that 1 or 2 minutes of complete silence, I just thought I would introduce some of the vocabulary that's in the video. Because for people like me with no background in many different traditions, I was raised in the West with a very Western orientation in my education and my religious upbringing, but there are many other traditions. And if there's elements of truth in them, then they are part of Sahaja Yoga. So in this talk, Shri Mataji will talk about a very important spiritual work called the Bhagavad Gita. And there's a person, historical figure, who figures prominently in this recording of events, and his name is Krishna. So in her talk, she will talk about some of the things that he said about our spirituality. And there are three key words that you'll hear. One of them is karma, which is Sanskrit for action. So what we do is karma. There's also jnana, which is Sanskrit for what we know, knowledge. And then there's another Sanskrit word, marga, which means the path we take, the road that we're walking on. So Shri Mataji will talk about karma yoga. She'll talk about jnana marga, which means the path of knowledge. So as we listen, we don't need to try to remember what do these words mean. She'll also be explaining these things in English. But there's a very short introduction. So now let's sit for a minute or two. So now we can watch the video and remain in that same silent state.
Many people, as you know, are right-sided. Right-sided people are the people who are, as you know, full of ego, arrogance, and think no end of themselves. Very difficult to correct them. They also never see anything wrong with them. Whichever way they act, they think is all right. That is the karma yoga. But he has said that whatever karmas you do, whatever its fruits are, that you cannot say. He said it in a very uncertain manner. Because definitely, if he had said it with certainty, people would never have understood him. So he said, it's not possible that whatever karmas you are doing could be the karmas which will get you the blessings of the divine. Karmanyeva adhikaraste phaleshu ma kadachin. He has said it. So then, which karmas we should do? Or should we give up all the karmas? All the action we should give up? People were in two minds. This is the style of Sri Krishna, is to put people in two minds, so they use their discretion. And third one is the discretion, which he calls as the Jnana Marga. Is the central path by which you evolve. You evolve into a new state, into a new state of your mind, a new state of your being, by which you become absolutely above every nonsense. Also, you are endowed with power to fight whatever is bad, whatever is corrupting, whatever is killing this world. At that stage, you are equipped with the divine power that you can finish off anything that is negative around you. This is to be understood that that's a state. That's not just talking, that's not just believing that I am that. But it's a state. If you come up to that state where you are beyond all these things and you have all the knowledge, pure knowledge, the subtle knowledge of being, this is the Jnana Marga. Many people say that everybody cannot go to Jnana Marga. For that you have to have a special type of personality. But this is very misleading. Everyone can go into Jnana Marga. It is very, very innately built within us, this evolutionary attainment. It is within us. And all of us can have that. Only thing is, we have no confidence perhaps that we go on avoiding it and go to cheaper things like becoming devoted to something, doing some sort of a ritual, going to some sort of a holy place, all kinds of nonsense which doesn't give you the evolutionary ascent by which you know the knowledge, the pure knowledge, the real knowledge. So far whatever you have known, it was written in the book, whatever your parents told me, or whatever you have explored outside. But the knowledge which is the purest, which is the real knowledge, which is the jnana, that you can only get through your ascent and establishing yourself properly in that state. If you go on denying it, you cannot get it. But everyone has a right to get it. You need not be educated. You need not be a very simple person. You need not be very rich or poor. Makes no difference as long as you are a human being and a humble human being, thinking that you have to achieve that state. You all can get that state which you know very well. And at that state, you become absolutely knowledgeable. Knowledgeable about yourself, knowledgeable about others, knowledgeable about everything that goes around. But this state must be maintained and try to go above that state where you have no more doubts left in you. This is what Sri Krishna taught. And this is what one has to achieve. But he being a diplomat, he tried to tell you other stories. Try this, try that, this, that. But actually, what he has praised is Jnana Marga. Ours is a Jnana Marga. That is the knowledge, the path of knowledge, in which you have to know all the knowledge. Unless and until you have the whole knowledge, you are not yet a jnani, a person who knows. In this way, he has established that our evolutionary process has to come beyond all other human awareness. Other human awareness is of no value for a spiritual personality. Now, he knows something, say, how many miles it is from here, say, to New York, or what trains go there. All this knowledge is not needed. How much this cloth will cost, how much this carpet will cost, in what shop can you get. All this knowledge is just useless, is not the real knowledge. Such a person doesn't know. this kind of knowledge. But what he knows is the knowledge about your being, knowledge about the whole universe, which is not how many stars there are or how many universes there are. No. It is the subtle inner personality of everything he knows. In that subtlety, he discovers so many new things which he may not even heard about. And thus you reach a state of great knowledgeable personality. This is what we have to achieve. We are born as human beings and we know so many things already. People know so many things, but they don't know the actual. This knowledge doesn't come through your reading or through your intellectual pursuit or for your emotional movement, no. It is Shaswat, it is all the time there. It exists, it will exist. And it is just to be understood, just to be known to yourself what it is. It cannot change. It cannot be remolded. It is what it is. And that is what you know now. Nobody would doubt that. Because those who have got this state, they may doubt. They may call you crazy, they may think in it. But with the open eyes, whatever you say is the truth. In the same way, with the open heart and an open brain, when you know that that is the real truth, and that is what is to be known.
Let's sit for another minute or two in the silent meditation and enjoy what we call the vibrations, the pure energy that flows from Shri Mataji's talk before we meditate with Hans, and before that enjoy the music performed by Sahaja Yogis. So let's sit for a minute. Now let's enjoy the music composed and performed by Sahaja Yogis.
Let's now bring the attention even more within. The vibrations have been nourishing our chakras, awakening the Kundalini. Let's now try to feel that. So let's all close our eyes. If you have any thoughts, just ignore them for now and bring the attention within and watch without thinking. Now, the pure knowledge, as we heard, is not the knowledge of outside things. It's not even the knowledge of some inside things. It's not the knowledge of our emotions. It's not the knowledge of our thoughts. It's the knowledge of ourself. So let's explore that by bringing our attention to each chakra or energy center. So let's gently but confidently, slowly bring the attention to the first energy center. It's the Muladhara chakra, the subject of last week, of Monday. Now, we don't need to strain our attention, but as our attention is now enlightened by the Kundalini, it has an effect. So we bring the attention to the first chakra. Basically, it's the point where we sit. And simply watch. Just feel. Maybe you feel something physical. Maybe you just feel the chakra opening. Each of us will have our own experience, but putting the attention on a chakra strengthens it, nourishes it, but also lets us discover the qualities. The first chakra is the foundation, and the quality at its core is childlike innocence. The innocence that makes us so, children so adoring, so adorable. And the affirmation we can say inside here is simply, Mother, please make me innocent. Mother, please make me innocent. Now let's bring our attention to the second chakra, the topic of today. So it's the lower part of the abdomen. And here we can use our hand. Let's put the right hand on the left side of the body, on the lower part of the abdomen. So that's the left Svadhisthana. And those who have been with the course for some time have said this affirmation many times. It's Mother, please give me the pure knowledge. Now we can take the hand down again on the lap. Let's bring the attention to the third chakra, the Nabhi. It's basically the solar plexus, so around the navel. Let's keep the attention there and see what we feel, see what happens. And the affirmation here is, please make me satisfied and balanced. Mother, please make me satisfied and balanced. Now let's bring the attention to the heart. Let's start in the center. And let's feel the emotions in our heart. And maybe we can also feel the security, the protection in our heart. And the affirmation here is, Mother, please make me fearless, as I am completely protected. Please make me fearless. Let's now bring the attention to the fifth chakra. So that's the Vishuddhi, and it's simply the throat, or the throat, neck. Also the face is an expression then of this energy center. So if we keep the attention on the throat and neck, we might feel that our shoulders automatically relax, our muscles in the neck relax. And an affirmation for here is simply, Mother, please make me the witness. Please make me the detached witness. That's the capacity to watch ourselves without thinking, without reacting. And now let's bring our attention to the sixth chakra, the Agya. It's where the left and right channel cross. Let's relax our forehead. There should be no wrinkles on the forehead in the sense of tenseness. There should be no grudge. Of course, here the affirmation is simply, I forgive. And now let's allow the silence in the Agya to expand. Thoughts are reactions. So let's let them just disappear, dissolve, and watch without thinking. And if we feel the silence expand, let's put our attention on that silence. Because in that silence, is where we can perceive ourselves. Now let's bring our attention to our fontanelle, the Sahasrara chakra, which is in the limbic area of the brain, but the connection is in the fontanelle. That's where the Kundalini comes out of the top of our head. And gently, respectfully, but with full confidence, we can gather our attention on the top of our head. It is a place where we are completely protected. It is also the place where we receive vibrations that enter our being through the fontanelle. It's where we are connected to the vibrations and also to each other. Let's just check our attention. Is it still on the fontanelle? Is the connection deepening? Now let's put the right hand on the heart on the left side of the body, but keep the attention on the fontanelle, where we are connected. For some time, let's just hold the hand and see what happens. And now we'll ask the question here, but the attention fully inside, fully silent. A few times ask the question, who am I? Now let's bring the right hand to the fontanelle and put the center of the palm on the highest point of the head. We can press a little bit. And if we want, we can make the circles, which sometimes help to bring the attention more upwards. And here the affirmation is, Mother, please establish my self-realization, which is essentially saying, Mother, I am the Spirit. Let's lift the hand a little bit. Try to find the point where you feel the Kundalini the strongest. It doesn't matter how you feel it. Is it a force, a coolness, or a warmth? Just find where do you feel it the most. And when you bring the hand down, we can keep the attention where the hand was. Now we can relax our attention again. We kind of put it on each chakra. Now let's just take a step back and see how we are. What do I feel in my vibrations? What do I feel in my body, on my chakras? Do I feel silence? Do I feel balance, peace? So whatever feeling each of us have, let's just cherish that like a treasure, like a very precious gift. Keep it within, allow it to expand. The Kundalini is extremely eager to enlighten us more, to show us more about ourselves, and awaken the joy in us. And the Kundalini is extremely happy if we take that, allow it to happen. So now let's finish the meditation with our bandhan. So let's slowly open our eyes. Maybe we just briefly look at Shri Mataji's picture, see the vibrations that are coming from the picture, absorb those vibrations, and then in all dignity, in our own speed, let's raise our Kundalini. Most of us have done this, so I won't explain it as such. Those who haven't done it before, in the breakout room, you can then get some more details. So with full dignity and attention, we can raise our Kundalini. First time 1 knot. Then 2 knots. Then the 3 knots. And then the bandhan, over the left side of the body, over the head, down the right side and back. That's 1. And that's a protection. Briefly see if that's changed the vibrations. And then just in gratitude, we can just do this little bow to the Kundalini, which is again a sign of just cherishing the state that the Kundalini gives us. So with that, I'll hand over to Mark for the final announcements.
Thank you, Hans. So sometimes people will ask a question, sometimes people don't. I rarely asked questions when I first started Sahaja Yoga. Sometimes I wish I had. I was always glad when somebody else would ask the question that I was too timid to ask. But one question people will ask is, why are you meditating with a photograph of Shri Mataji? So for me, the simplest answer is to simply experiment. Print out the photograph. You can print it out at a place that does it nicely on photographic paper. You can frame it and then place it somewhere where you can show respect for the photograph. And then what you do is just sit at home and put your hands towards the photograph. And as you can see, we often have a candle or maybe a little bit of flowers as a way to decorate that area, make it more pleasing. And also the lit flame of a candle helps to purify the subtle system when it's placed near the photograph of Shri Mataji. So the number one rule in Sahaja Yoga is don't take our word for it. It's very much, what do you feel? What do you experience? Don't just take it on faith that we're always giving you the correct information. Sometimes we make mistakes or we forget things. So what I can suggest is, if you want to be sort of scientific about it, is try meditating without the photograph. Sit for 5 minutes or so, or a bit longer, and then try meditating with the photograph. And you can look at the photograph of Shri Mataji, or you can close your eyes, but you just have your hands outstretched. I'll just demonstrate again. So in the beginning, I didn't feel any difference, but they said, some friends of mine were trying this. I said, well, okay, you guys are nice guys. I guess I'll try it. So I had the photograph. Other people that I've met in the 21 days, the first time they put that framed photograph before them and they put their hands out, they tell me they have a tremendous experience. I feel a lot of things happening, a lot of things flowing into their palms. So try it for yourself and see if you can feel that using the photograph helps sustain the experience of the silence. Just keeps us in the state that we want to be in, free of all the heaviness of the past and anxiety about the future. So that can be the routine at home, is sitting for a few minutes in the morning with the photograph, and then maybe before sleeping, a few minutes in the evening. And at whenever time it feels right for you, maybe combine that with the basin with the salt water to help sort of flush out things that might still need to be kind of cleaned out of the chakras. Sometimes it's been a very stressful day at work, and a foot soak really lets us enjoy the evening because now it's kind of emptied out some of whatever was in there that affected our chakras, because they're very sensitive. So now let me tell you about the course. We are in session 3A, and our next session is going to be a continuation of this session that we'll call 3B. The conclusion of session 3A, we have a few more classes in this session. The next one is Monday, and it's what we call a workshop. So that means there'll be a meditation with a foot soak. There'll be a video of Shri Mataji, and then, this is my favorite part, we get to meet you in breakout rooms. So the whole second half of the meeting is, if you're in Zoom, so please join us in Zoom, you get to meet with us one-on-one or sometimes in small groups. You can also say, I'd like to meet with you in French, in Spanish, in German, in different languages, and like to explore this. Enjoy the meditation with a live, almost personalized experience. And the theme of this meeting will be the third chakra, Nabi chakra. So this is our course schedule. The current session 3A is going to run twice a week, Monday and Wednesday, and will end on Wednesday, August 13th. Then we'll be taking a 5-week break, and we'll come back on Monday, September the 22nd, and the session 3B will run for 6 weeks. But in the meantime, if you have got a mentor, you can work with them through the 21 Days program, or you can go to this website, wemeditate.com, and there's an opportunity to meditate live Tuesday and Thursday at the same time as this program, 8 o'clock. And there's also information how to reach the people that run wemeditate.com. There's their email. So here are the resources that we mentioned earlier. You can ask for a mentor. If you already have requested one and you're still waiting, you can use that meditative power called patience. You will get one. You can join our WhatsApp group and you'll get daily messages from us and reminders about the course. And then we also have the course webpage where you can join us live through the link, and you can also catch up on any missed sessions, and if there were handouts, you can download those handouts. So this is the website for the course. An easy way to reach it is through the QR code. So now comes the time in the program in which maybe you have some questions. Maybe you felt something in the program today or when you were meditating at home, or maybe today's program was you didn't quite get it. So then now you can ask for a breakout room and meet with a Sahaja teacher. And at the end of the program, we have people standing by from quite a few different languages. So chances are you'll be able to meet with somebody who is a Sahaja teacher who speaks Danish, or who speaks a language that you would like to discuss Sahaja with. Or you can have a live chat and talk to chat Q&A in the Zoom chat. Or you can type a question in the chat and address it to me, your MC, and we'll see if we can answer your question in tonight's program. So now I'd like to learn a bit more about my co-presenters tonight and invite them to come back, and they'll share some of the things they've learned in Sahaja, or if it's people like me, things that I'm still trying to figure out, because there's so much to learn, so much to understand as I come into it with my limited human awareness. So welcome back, Hans, and very nice to see you again, Roxana.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, so here's our first question. We've mentioned that we learn things from, studying a book, attending a lecture. Roxana, how do you understand what pure knowledge means?
Pure knowledge is the knowledge that makes us grow, the knowledge that makes us be our best version and makes us become the spirit, because that's the aim, right? It's knowledge that we get through meditation, because it's not necessarily through books. For me, it's something that comes naturally and just helps you in the everyday life. That's how I feel it. It helps me see what's good and what's bad for me, and just get a stronger intuition.
All right. Hans, Roxana's touched on how it actually influences our day-to-day life. How do you apply this pure knowledge? And also for you, do you have anything else you want to add about what pure knowledge means to you?
Mhm. I think Roxana said it really beautifully. Difficult to add to that. It, she said it's like the thing that does awakens the spirit, right? So pure knowledge is, as we heard in the speech, it's not about knowing your emotions even, right? Even though that's kind of inside. But that's something, before self-realization, we also can see our emotions. So it's really about that, about the spirit. And it reminds me when I first got my self-realization. It's a long time ago and we're still learning, right? Pure knowledge is rather expansive. It's rather unlimited. But the first experience I had was that I went to a program and I went a bit late. Nobody really knew I was new, and they didn't explain anything. I didn't really understand what they were saying. I didn't understand the video. But I did feel the Kundalini rising. I had a few sensations which were interesting. But the eye-opener, the real recognition, was when I walked home, I felt like I was walking on clouds. And I just had this strong feeling that now I'm home. This is where I wanted to be. And if my body wasn't here, I still would be here. So that was this feeling of, this is who I am, I'm the spirit. And that's one of the truths that Shri Mataji also explains in her speech. And I've taken that with me since then, right? But then, that's, let's say, a truth, but then what is the knowledge? And I think the knowledge is then about maintaining, nurturing, and deepening that state. And let's say coming here today, right? I rushed from work, and when we did the dry run, I was still on the phone, and then I was in my sort of t-shirt, sat down. I was pretty right-sided, and then the program started. And then we heard your nice, calm, balanced voice. So I thought that's where we should be. And then step by step, we get back to the balance. And what I find is that Sahaja Yogis again and again have the capacity to get back to the balance. And when you say, well, how do we apply that? That's an interesting question, because I've something I'm working on. When I hold a Sahaja Yoga program, a meditation, I find just doing that actually brings me into the balance, because if we talk about the spirit, talk about chakras, we meditate on the chakras, it spontaneously brings us into that state. So expressing pure knowledge kind of has an effect on the inside. When I'm at work and I hold a presentation on some kind of project, it doesn't quite work, right? So if you say apply in real life, I think what happens, it's quite easy to get the self-realization in Sahaja Yoga. Some of the techniques are quite easy, like a foot soak, such a simple, easy technique just to clear out is really good. But I think staying in a state of spirit, of thoughtless awareness throughout the day in an environment that might not be quite so conducive to it, I think that's the art of Sahaja Yoga. And that's the learning we do day by day, right? So the little subtleties of how do I not react in that stage, how do I stay balanced, how do I speak to somebody, even if it's a mundane topic that is inspiring to that person. I think that's kind of the learnings we have every day, which is quite innate, and it builds who we are over time.
Yeah, I know there's people who are quite conscious of their status as, I'm a realized soul, and I have a choice today, and let me make that choice out of my inner state of self-knowledge, of that silence. there's people like me who readily forget that I have that capacity. And then what happens is that the information comes to me just because I need to have that knowledge. Like there's some kind of interesting attention that's on me, that's looking after me, and suddenly I'll just feel, oh, this is a very good thing to do, or no, that's not a very good thing to do. And sometimes it's very obvious. You can actually feel it in the hands. Sometimes there's just that sort of like what we call the gut feeling. And so sometimes we can consciously apply what we have learned, what we're learning in Sahaja Yoga about checking, like, okay, how is it? Other times it seems to just be, hello, this is not a very good thing to do right now. And no one needs to tell you you're receiving that guidance just because now the Kundalini is now working. Roxana, to be able to better experience what you've called pure knowledge, this knowledge of your true self, what techniques do you use? How do you clear chakras to make that work better?
Well, first of all, I'll place my attention on the left Swadhisthana, where the seat of the pure knowledge. And then I do the typical techniques, foot soak every day, and some candling when I feel it. But really just listening to myself, knowing when I need to, because I think that the left Swadhisthana gets blocked quite easily. We live in a very busy society, and we have so much information with all the internet and all the networks, and I think it's very easy to just get to information or knowledge which is, let's say, impure, or the one which distances us from our true nature. And of course also false information which just circulates on the internet. But then you just need to do the techniques, and sometimes maybe during the day when you read something, see, is this nourishing for me? Is this good for me or not? So really just go inside of yourself and see, just observe. And often, very often, it happens that I just feel either the thumb burning or just hurting, or just on the lower side of the abdomen. And I have a really good example. It was at the beginning of Sahaja Yoga years ago, and I'm like a person who likes to finish his projects, right? If I start reading a book, I'm going to finish it. If I do a course, I'm going to finish it. And I remember that I was so thirsty and I just wanted to learn more about meditation, yoga. So I was just consuming here and there. And I got this book of a man who has, let's say, his own technique of yoga. I didn't know much about him, but I thought it was interesting. And I started reading the book. And the funny thing is that I couldn't finish it. It was something like I would take the book and I just couldn't advance in the reading. And I was like, why can't I do this? What's happening? I need to focus. And then I realized that it was just natural, that it was not for me. And then I just let it be. I never finished that book. And some time after, I found out that that person has done some, let's say, unethical things and, things that got public. And I was like, oh yeah, well, that's it. That was not a pure knowledge. And I was just at the beginning of Sahaja Yoga, but still I had a connection which was like showing me, Roxana, this is not for you, just let it be. So I think the usual typical techniques help, but also this thing of trusting yourself and trusting that the Kundalini guides you and not forcing any false knowledge on yourself.
All right, and here's a question from one of the people in our chat, another one. I'll pose it to Hans. Is it possible that feeling vibrations in order to achieve our knowledge or attaining the state of thoughtless awareness, is it possible that it can take a long time? I've been practicing Sahaja Yoga for over a year and I still don't feel vibrations, and I do meditate every day.
Right. Okay. Firstly, don't worry. Don't stress yourself about feeling vibrations. There's been a reason. I didn't feel vibrations for ages, right? More than a year. And I didn't really care because I came back and again, right? I really was eager to come to each meditation just to get the joy of it. Having said that, it is a sign that something's blocked. Often it's simply the Vishuddhi. It can be something physical or just something subtle. Sometimes it helps just, rub your hands with olive oil, put a bit of butter on the Vishuddhi, things like that. I think the main thing is don't worry. Vibrations are, of course, practical because Roxana mentioned, right? You read a book and you realize it just doesn't work. So there's that quite clear intuition. It's not helping the spirit, you just don't do it. Sometimes it's not so clear. So if you have that intuition and say, okay, is that now an intuition really from the center? Or is it just a weird idea I'm coming into my head? And sometimes you're not quite sure, then having the vibrations helps you to discern that. So feeling vibrations does have a practical point about it. But I have never seen anybody, meditating for years, say, oh, I just love feeling the cool breeze in my hands. There are, other ways to get doing that. It's something which is more innate. So I think, don't worry, nurture the experience within, and then maybe just experiment with ideas a bit in a relaxed way to see, okay, how can I get to feel the vibrations? Maybe go to there is a wellness camp once a year in Capella, or sometimes changing environment helps. Like for me, visiting India, certain places in India, Shri Mataji used to take us to India for the India tours, took us to places which had really strong vibrations, and suddenly the left Svadhisthana is clear and you feel vibrations and things like that. So there's no single way, it's a discovery, and I think in a playful way try to experiment with ways of clearing the reason why we don't feel vibrations. But it's just one symptom, it's not a big deal.
I was encountering a quote of Shri Mataji just this week, which is coincidental. There are no coincidences in Sahaja Yoga. And Shri Mataji talks about how plants are just growing, and then one day you look at the plant and it's flowered. But it happened so subtly and so slowly that it didn't actually happen while we watched, but it finally just blossomed. And so I've heard Shri talk about this several times, where she talks about how it's a natural process and you just blossom. But then it kind of struck me that sometimes my own impatience, that, why aren't I feeling what other people are feeling? Why aren't I understanding Sahaja Yoga as well as some of these other people that must be so much deeper and so much more evolved than I am? And then I finally understood that comparing us to any other living process is it's going to happen when it's going to happen. And we just have the patience and that quiet serenity that I'm enjoying doing Sahaja Yoga. I haven't had all the experiences people are talking about, but they will happen. But we cannot predict how quickly each of us is going to manifest this this subtle awareness of vibrations. So the thing I really learned from being in India, like Hans, is patience. Things just happen. It's not like being in North America, and suddenly there you are, and what's happening, and nobody knows. The tour has stopped somewhere, and the driver has disappeared. And it's just like it's the fun of
That was the time before cell phones, right? So you were pretty,
yeah, right.
well control.
Yeah, and so then it's like that's life. Is well, we're going to grow. It's going to happen. The enjoyment of Sahaja Yoga, I would say, from my own experience, increases every year. Every year is the best year. And whether it's because it was even more cake and ice cream, which is also part of it, but also just a much more profound understanding of myself and of how I connect to Hans and Roxana. In what profound and amazing way are we connected? And the recognition of that expands my enjoyment, knows no bounds. So it's been a blast. to join such deep and wise yogis. And thank you so much for joining us for this program, Hans and Roxana.
Thank you.
And I'll say to the people who have tuned in, if you want to even now ask for a breakout room, then jump from YouTube, if that's where you're watching, and get over to Zoom quickly while we're still here and say, I want to go into a breakout room. I want to talk to a Sahaja Yoga teacher right now. I have some questions, or I just want to share what I felt. And so we'll see you on Monday, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for the
Bye.
evening.
See you next time.